At 2 a.m. on April 13th, word reached headquarters of the 10th Mountain Division that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt had died in Warm Springs, Georgia, of a stroke. His death was deeply felt by everyone, even those on the front line. Jack shared his sorrow at the loss. This would be Jack's final letter home.
Friday, April 13th, 1945. Italy. Dear family, it was just about like any other night in this shattered frontline mountaintop village. Artillery, ours and Jerry's, was active as usual. Machine guns and burp guns studded from and reached somewhere in the distance way off. At 3:20 in the morning, I started pulling my boots on, preparatory to going on guard. When I got to the outpost and took over the phone, the guy relieved said, "I just got this message from battalion. President Roosevelt died." My hour to guard passed quickly as I sat and mused at the possible world changes in present and future history, in all our lives, which might come to pass as a result of the passing of one of the greatest men of our time. His death, particularly tragic because it occurred at so crucial a point in this war, came to me as a deep personal loss, as I know it did to every man privileged to have borne arms under this greatest of commanders-in-chief. As if in tribute to the man, the sky is dull and overcast today, and there seems to be a somber stillness in the air, as if the world, even here in war-torn Italy, where death is an old, familiar story, repeated day after heartbreaking day, mourns the loss of this immortal humanitarian spirit. America, the greatest nation in the world, has lost one of her greatest sons.
The waiting finally ended as the final spring offensive began on the morning of April 14th. The objective for the 1st Battalion of the 87th Mountain Infantry was to knock the Germans out of the little town of Torre Iusi and then take control of the large hill beyond. The Germans were well dug in and throwing everything they had against the Americans. Company C, Jack's company, was constantly under artillery and mortar fire. The shells would burst in the trees overhead, sending out deadly splinters of wood, killing and wounding a number of men. The hillsides were heavily mined, and there were many casualties as the infantry tried to safely navigate through these areas while under heavy fire. The battle for the hamlet was fierce, but by nightfall, Torre Iusi had finally been cleared of German troops. The men dug yet another foxhole to try to afford themselves some protection from the continuing artillery and mortar fire, which roared in with no let-up in sight. The din of explosions, the acrid smell of gunpowder, and the cries for help of the wounded created a scene from Dante's Inferno. About 11 p.m. that night, Jack emerged from his foxhole, perhaps to go on guard duty, perhaps to check on another soldier. At that moment, a German artillery shell landed directly on top of him. Death came instantly. During the battle for Torre Iusi, Jack's friend Denny Noonan had been promoted to platoon sergeant. He later wrote home of the gut-wrenching trauma he endured.
As I have always felt it my duty to take care of my men and bring them back safely, the loss of men was a great shock to me. Wounded men are one thing, but the passing of men who you have lived with since Fort Lewis days is something else again. The cries of the wounded and the stillness of the dead finally broke my heart.
The battle continued for 18 days. The 10th Mountain Division finally drove the Germans out of the mountains and pursued them across the broad, flat Po Valley. The Allies paddled across the Po River on boats on April 23rd, as the retreating Germans had blown up the bridges. By April 27th, the Allies reached Lake Garda in the foothills of the Alps. Finally, on May 2, 1945, all remaining forces in Italy surrendered to the Allies. Victory in Europe was declared on May 8th, with the German surrender in Berlin. When the war was finally over, Denny Noonan had the opportunity to write Jack's sister Mary to express his sorrow at the loss of his close friend.
May 4th, 1945. My dear Mary, am writing you instead of writing to your mother because after all these years with Jack, I feel as though I know you. And also, maybe you might not think it wise to discuss this matter with your mother at this time, as Jack led me to believe that your mother has not been too well. Do with this letter whatever you think best. Needless to say, for many of us, this victory in Italy was saddened by the absence of many of our close friends. Those friends of ours that we had shared the toils and adventures of Army life with for 3 years. But Mary, this victory could not have been achieved without the loss of life. No road leading to any battle victory remains unstained by the blood of free men. It is regrettable that the stains of war must be made indelible across the pages of history by the blood of those we love. Those of us that remain accepted our victory here in Italy in silence, as our hearts well know that the victory really belonged to and was made possible by those that had fallen along the road to this victory. Jack's passing was a great personal loss to me, as it was the ending of the greatest Jewish-Irish friendship that ever existed. 'Twas filled with constant mirth, understanding, and admiration. And the Irishman was charged with the praying for the welfare of the partnership, while a Jewish member of the firm gave the Irishman instruction in the Catholic religion. Yes, sir, Mary, we were very close, and that's why I cried my heart out at Jack's passing. Cried so hard through the night that I was ordered to the rear, where I continued to feel my bitter loss. I returned to the outfit the next day with a greatly saddened heart, and all along this road to victory, I have received the plaudits of the liberated peoples and marveled at the beautiful country for both of us. Jack is never out of my heart nor my mind, and as we had to agree to go through hell and high water together, his memory will always remain with me. I wish that he could have seen the Po Valley, as it was something we had all been longing to see. Jack fell a few days short of the valley. Mary, Jack did not suffer. Death came to him out of the darkness, swiftly and silently, and without warning him whatsoever. Please believe me, Mary, when I say that Jack never knew it was coming, nor that it had come. Mary, I wish to share with you, your mother and father, and the entire family, your grief and sorrow. And please accept my humble prayers that I daily offer to God for your family's strength and courage and the peaceful repose of Jack's soul. Goodbye, Mary. Please, you must be brave. It's up to you to comfort your mother and father and restore happiness in the household. My love to you, Denny.